Here I am within the Snowplow dashboard, and the first piece I want to cover is how do you define tracking events? Snowplow offers a ton of functionality to help you organize and manage your tracking schemas. So, what are the different events that you want to integrate across your site so that you can go ahead and capture user interactions and be very strategic about A through Z? What are the different interactions that you want to capture against different use cases that you have in mind? So, in this demo example, we're using one of our customers that we work with today, Autotrader, who's built out this data product called Car Search. So what they're doing is capturing events as users are interacting with their site. So as users go onto autotrader.com, which is a car buying site, users can go ahead and search up for a new car or a used car. So we see this event being captured here. Users can view the car, which they're capturing as component view. Users can interact with the car, so opening up images within the car product or interacting with some of, the features listed about what the car contains. All of those are captured with this component interaction. And then a few other events here called lease customization or starting a lease or abandoning lease. These are events that are captured as a user, makes a choice for the car that they want and they start the lease application. So all of these events from searching a car to interacting with a car to ultimately filling a lease and submitting it are all actions that are defined against this car search use case, organized and managed within the Snowplow dashboard. Now, just as an example, if I press new car search, I can start to see what the event and entity model for this car event is. So in this case, the event name is called just vehicle search. And we can start to see the properties pass through with this vehicle search. So it's search type. So exactly the type of search the user is performing. So this would just contain the name of new or used, and then the zip code. So where exactly is this vehicle being searched for? So very simple event and property model here. And we can start to see the validation criteria. So these two properties have to be strings and they have to be required with XYZ validation criteria. Additionally, we're passing through entities to better describe the car search here. So here we have a search type where we can define any sort of information against other specific things that the user is passing through in their search field. So the make and model of the car, the year that they're looking for, all that sort of information, whether the car needs to be new or used. All of those granular search properties can be isolated into this search type entity and pass through against this vehicle search event. And now I'll actually go on to autotrader.com just to showcase exactly how this is done. So this is one of our customers based off of the UK. So that's where you start to see some of the euro signs here. But let's say as a user, I visit their site, I go into used cars or new cars. I scroll down, I can start to interact with lease a brand new car. And part of what AutoTrader is doing with Snowplow is as a user is making searches, as they're interacting with these different cars, they're starting to understand who the user is. So the exact model that the user is looking for, or the colors that the user is looking for, or the price points that's really attractive to the user, they're starting to ingest that data with Snowplow, and then they do insight personalization so that the cars that are most relevant to the user are being shown first. So based off of my past search history, these three vehicles are the ones that I'm most likely to engage with versus others. So on the right-hand side, we have this tool called Snowplow Inspector. This is kind of a QA tool that Snowplow provides, and it helps you to understand exactly the types of events that have been integrated and are being passed through or captured and being passed through by Snowplow into the warehouse. So for example, if I click into this car here, we can see we've generated an event called component viewed. So this captures on the right-hand side the actual viewing data. So if I scroll down, we just captured this event at XYZ time. It's being sent into our pipeline, and we can start to look at the data that's being passed through. So In this case, we're passing through a vehicle info information. So standard make is Nissan, the standard model, the fuel type, the transmission, the ID associated to the vehicle, make and model. Additionally, we're passing through other entities. So this is the leasing entity here, as you can see. So what this car is offering is a 36 term lease of the certain trim of certain color. This is the mileage, this is the monthly payment, this is how many are available, and the types of leases available. So all that information is being passed through into the warehouse, whether that's Snowflake or Databricks, etc., in real time. So now I'm going to go into Snowflake to just showcase a bit of what this data looks like. So here I have what's called the atomic events table. This is event by event all the data that Snowplow is capturing to start to understand what this user's interactions are. So you can see here, this row says component view. This event is performed as soon as I look into that car. The time that event is captured is listed here. The time zone, the platform. So this all says web because I'm on a website, but if you're on mobile, if you're passing data from the server side, all those destinations are or sources of data capture are going to reflect against this platform column. What's also neat is you see a data product ID. So a lot of folks ask, okay, if you're consuming all of these events into one single table, how do you start to easily understand what events are related to what use cases? So if I go back into my Snowplow platform, you'll see that against this data product where we've defined very specific car interactions, this data product has an ID associated with it. And what you can do now is you can query this table against that ID or this data product ID field, and you'll start to get all of your events associated with that specific use case. And this saves a ton of time in terms of you're not having to do a lot of post-processing or, running SQL queries to merge and join the data. All you have to do is query your atomics table, which again is the list of all of your events and associated data against the use case or data product ID, and then we'll surface up all of the events associated to your specific use cases. So in this case, I want to look at the car buying journey. I, run a query against this data product ID and get all the events associated with a user's car buying journey. And as I scroll down this row, you can start to see all of the other information that I'm passing through against that event. So all the event properties that I just showcased before. So I just looked at a Nissan, which has automatic transmission, which takes an XYZ fuel type. Then if I scroll down some more, I can start to see any entities that I'm passing through. So the user has just interacted with a specific leasing configuration against that vehicle view. So what is the leasing configuration here? So we can start to see that it is a 264.91 dollar euro kind of lease, 36-month term, the mileage, the availability, how many cars do we have available. All that data is being consumed into the warehouse in this column by column fashion, which makes this data incredibly easily queryable. And alongside those events and entities, Snowplow is producing 130 data points. So if I scroll down here, I can start to see view IDs. So for every page that the user is producing multiple events on, um, all of those events are going to have the same view ID. This helps you to understand on a per page level what are the different events a user is performing. Session identifier. So as the user clicks through different links on the site, we can go ahead and produce information as to, we can stitch together those different link clicks using the session ID. Additionally, we're passing through lots of IDs. So IDs that you uniquely generate. In this case, it just says Mo123, but you can pass through authenticated IDs in this field. You can pass through email addresses in this field and so on. We're also generating tons of other unique IDs such as IP address, first and server-side cookie. So client-side cookie, this goes ahead and starts to set a persistent cookie against the user's browser session, produced by the browser. Additionally, we can produce server-side cookies, which is produced by Snowplow's server and components. This is a very unique cookie because it goes ahead and lasts for up to 400 days. So even if the user is in a anonymous state, they haven't provided any identifying information, any emails, any, IDs. You don't necessarily know who they are uniquely as a person, but we can go ahead and set these persistent, 400-day server end cookies that go ahead and start to identify the user. So even if they're not providing emails, we can start to say against this ID, these are all the events that they've produced. Additionally, we have geolocational information we're producing. So currently I'm in Brooklyn, New York. So all that geo information, latitude, longitude is being passed through. You can pass through marketing information. So I just went onto the site directly, but if the user is coming in from Google, if they're coming in from a Facebook ad or email campaign, all of those metrics are going to be passed against this field, and so on and so forth. So tons of data that Snowplow is producing to help you understand exactly the context behind the event that's being produced.